Welcome to Backyard Oasis. I'm your host, Amelia Hurd. Even though we build waterfalls and ponds here on Backyard Oasis, we know the value of a great outdoor room, and we have two wonderful ones to show you today. The first is at a home located in a suburban neighborhood, while the other is in a secluded wooded area, but both include quite unique water features. We will talk with Dan Carter about lighting your garden, and Fred Spicer has some great ideas for plants to install around your patio area, so stay with us.
There's water in the brook running down to the stream. There's a bullfrog on the bank, baby, singing songs to me. There's fish down underneath that water, baby, saying, oh man, you'll never catch me. When water falling down from the sky up above makes everything green, makes my flowers fall in love. Saw a thorny Mr. Rosebush, baby, saddle up to Miss Foxy Glove.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Firestone Pond Guard Rubber Liners.
Clear water, water running down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, water. You know there's some down there in Mobile.
Hey, we wanted to bring you over and show you this project that we were involved in last year. Most of the hardscapes is what we actually came in and did the design and construction on. There's a very small water feature in here, which we will prominently feature, but the walls, stucco finish, tumblestone limestone on the top, the limestone caps, the brick was chosen to match the homeowner's house, but all of this was done after the homeowner actually came out to our shop and looked at the way that we had designed our garden. All right, this is the small project that started this whole larger project. The homeowner came to me several years ago, and the patio had already been completed, the house was completed, and she wanted some small water feature in her backyard. So we came in and we constructed this whole pond on top of her existing patio. Basically what we did is we laid the first run of brick on the outside. I sandwiched the liner, I laid the liner down and brought it up, and then we put another layer of brick on the inside, and I put a cap course of brick with two courses coming together so the liner is sandwiched between the two, and just sandwich the liner between the back of the fireplace. The piping, which is a piece of 3/8 inch copper tubing, is exposed, but the way that copper patinas and oxidizes, it doesn't look you know, overpowering and out of sorts, so to speak. And the line fountain fills and dribbles over into a pond. So we finished this project and she started thinking along these lines. So basically we came in and helped her produce what she's got now, which I'll have to admit is better than my dinky little fountain. Dexter, I tell you what, man, this place looks incredible. I mean, it is hard for me to believe that this thing is only 7 months old. And, you know, all the plant material that you've chosen, you know, corkscrew willow and some maples, I mean, and the color that you guys have used, it's just really phenomenal.
Well, we try to provide interest throughout the year with colored foliage, colorful foliage like the variegated acubas, and the winter interest as far as the bark of the curly willow, the yellow willow, the purple-leafed redbud, along with the roses and the variegated miscanthus behind us here, backed up with the wall plantings of the blue Arizona sapphire cypress there.
So basically what you guys utilize a lot, if I'm hearing correctly, is a lot of the plant material that's going to lose its foliage during the winter. You've got other things behind it that kind of back it up and show off.
Right. You try to give a good balance between the deciduous and the evergreens and balance the garden off that way, so that in the wintertime you don't have big bare spots with just branches showing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if it looks half as good in the winter as it does now, it really looks incredible. Dee, when you guys first envisioned this garden, I know you had some concepts in mind, and you went out looking for somebody that might be a little creative and innovative and you know, just really charming, and you couldn't find that person, so you came to me. But tell me a little bit about what you wanted when you came up with this concept.
Well, Steve, my husband Steve and I had renovated a Spanish colonial revival home in a historical neighborhood of St. Louis. And it was the real McCoy. It was a Spanish hacienda. However, as time went on, the homeowner put up a chain link fence. And in us visiting New Mexico and San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, where there's courtyards everywhere,
Right.
wonderful courtyards. And to me, a courtyard is just so romantic. There's a mystery about it. So we were able to add that onto our Spanish home in St. Louis. And it was the talk of the neighborhood. It was just, it was, everybody was just so excited about it, and we loved it. We enjoyed it so darn much. So when we moved here and we built our home, we were wanting a courtyard again,
Right.
opposed to a fenced-in yard, so we could have that that courtyard feeling
Right.
again.
Right.
And that's when we came looking for you, so that you could help us put it together, because we wanted to try to make it look like it was a part of the house,
Right.
being that it was not a Spanish-style home.
Right. It's got to be great just to feel, like you said, you're isolated. And
It is. It's almost like an extension of your living space. The privacy, of course, is really wonderful. And Steve and I love to sit outside and enjoy a glass of wine. And with the music that we had put in, we had some rock speakers that
Right.
kind of fade away into the plants.
Yeah.
You can't see them. And we had some speakers put on the wall, so
Right.
we have even amount of music playing. And we just sit out here and relax
Yeah.
and feel the breeze and listen to the music and just look at all the beautiful flowers and plants. It's just very calming.
Well, hey, it's great, and you know, I'm enjoying the glass of wine, and I hope Steve doesn't get jealous. So I've enjoyed working with you, and it's really great, and I just can't say how in awe and impressed I am with you know, how it looks, and I know you come in and work on the garden, you know, and do some pruning and maintenance, and it is just incredible. And I've
Thank
certainly
you so
enjoyed
much.
working with you on this project, and maybe you'll have me back for a glass of wine again.
We couldn't have done it without you.
All right, thanks.
It's time for our next water break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Backyard Oasis. Welcome back. Now it's time to take a look at this wonderful outdoor room at night.
If you ever wondered what your garden might look like at night, well, we've got a guy here that can tell us what it'll look like at night. This is Dan Carter with Night Art, and Dan, give me a little bit about night lighting and why someone might want to do a little night lighting in their garden.
Sure, Chuck. First reason is you've got a beautiful garden like this, and it looks great in the daytime, but if you don't have the right kind of lighting at night, it just goes away, and that investment really comes to nothing.
Is it something that most homeowners even think about, or is it you have to give them more of a visual, as sometimes bringing some pictures and letting them see what their potential can be?
I really see a mixed bag. The homeowners here had an idea, kind of conceptually what they wanted. They wanted a very subdued, very romantic type look in the garden, and we were able to do that. A lot of people have no concept at all of how well-placed lighting can enhance their garden.
When you come in and you start actually trying to determine it, how do you actually go about it? Are there certain size or voltage lightings? And here again, is it low voltage or regular 110 voltage?
Well, Chuck, almost everything that's done today in landscape lighting is done low voltage. Primary reasons are it's a lot safer, it's more economical to use and operate, and also the effects that you can get out of the variety of low voltage lamps and bulbs are tremendous. You just can't do it with line voltage because of the limitations of the size of the lamps themselves.
So we're speaking, what, 12-volt system?
12 volt,
Okay.
that's correct. There's a transformer that converts the 120 volt to 12 volt, and then it sends it out, and all the fixtures work off 12 volts.
Okay, so you don't have to be near as careful with working with this type of a voltage because the danger of electrical shock is not there.
That is correct, and you know that's one of the things we run into is the weekend warriors. You know, they get out there and they're trying to figure out what wires go together and all that, and with low voltage they can electrocute themselves in their project.
Okay, so Dan, knowing I can kill myself using this type of a system, is it something that a lot of homeowners can do with a little bit of design assistance when someone like yourself?
Well, Chuck, there are a lot of people that can actually do the physical work involved because it's not really that difficult.
Right.
But what I do find is a lot of people who don't have any technical knowledge are not able to size the wire and size the transformers or pick out the right fixture that has the right effect. That's where it really helps to involve a professional, someone who has experience in doing this type of work.
Right. And you talk about selecting the right type of fixture. You know, the fixture that you're going to use for an uplight on the wall versus an uplight on a tree being two different types then.
A lot of times this is true. You know, some of the fixtures are very prominent parts of the landscape. I call them, you know, they're daytime fixtures as well. You see them in the daytime and they add to the beauty of the daytime of it. There are other fixtures that are purely functional, and all they do is they produce a light and they produce an effect. Knowing what fixture to use where makes a lot of difference.
Right. So let's say the ones that are going to be seen more during the daytime and like you said, they're part of the landscape, those are going to be what, more like ornate copper type designs?
You got it. Most of the time we're going to a lot more copper fixtures because they look better, they blend in with the landscape better, and also they're a long-lasting, very durable fixture.
Well, tell us a little bit about the project where we're sitting tonight, Dan. I mean, what types of fixtures and what type of application did you really use to bring this out?
Yeah, Chuck, the first thing I want to show you is a little small statue that we have. It's by the entrance. And then we're going to move to the back of the garden. They've got a small fountain piece, the head of Bacchus. And we cross-lit it, and it has a really great effect with some of the palm fronds and so forth that kind of shadow back there. Then we're going to move around the garden, and there's a gate in the back that is not really an exit gate, and we just very dimly have it lit. So you just kind of get an idea that there's something back there. And then we have a path light, which it's the most functional of the lights we have here because it points toward the back of the garden. And then we have a small statue on top of a wall that you almost really have to look at to find. And that's the type thing that the homeowners were after, was making it where you have to kind of look around for all the effects.
Right.
And finally, we have a light in a fountain that is shining up a chimney, and it just looks great watching the water shimmer off the waterfall.
And when you're choosing these fixtures, like the lights that you have that uplight the walls, and in choosing that fixture, is the height of the wall, does that determine, say, the wattage that you use?
Several different criteria. Sometimes it is the height of the wall. One of the challenges we had in here was not having too much light. It's very easy for a project like this to get away and all of a sudden you just got lights everywhere. So I used a combination of some regular aluminum uplights with a halogen lamp in them for a little bit wider look. And on the back walls where we wanted it to be not real bright, not white, I used a copper fixture with a frosted lens so that it projects a copper color in a very diffuse way on the wall.
Well, Dan, I tell you, the project just really looks great. I mean, I know the homeowners are just tickled with what you've done. And if a homeowner wanted to try a little project like this themselves, what are a few little tips you might give them?
Well, obviously, Chuck, the first thing to do is to get an education. And I personally think the best way to get that education is talk to a professional, have someone come out, give some ideas, maybe do a design, do a demo, get a feel for what's going on. And they may be surprised that when they look at the overall cost of things, they may just want it done professionally. The second thing is just take their time. It is not something that you do, you place the fixtures in one time and it's perfect. There's a lot of moving around, and you'll find that as you're out in the garden, as you're moving lights, you find things.
Right.
That's the good part about it. And the other thing is, above all things, don't try to go so cheap on the fixtures and on the equipment. A good quality system may cost a little more initially, but years down the road it'll still be working and it'll still be the same quality system you put in.
Well, Dan, like I say, it looks great, and I tell you what, your advice is well heeded.
Thank you,
very
Chuck.
much.
I appreciate it.
You know, there are countless varieties of plants in the world, and we're very lucky to have experts like Fred Spicer who can help teach us about a few of them. Fred, what do you have to teach us today?
One of the things we're always looking for in the garden are really good short plants. Now, if it was a plant that could take full sun or full shade or dry soils or wet soils, and I'll throw in evergreen just to make it interesting, wouldn't that be a great plant? Well, it so happens that right in front of us, we're looking at a whole planting of different kinds of sweet flag. And this is a plant that will tolerate all the conditions I mentioned. And what's more, it's available in a number of different, subtly different cultivars. You have one that's right at my feet here that is very, very short and totally green, almost looks like grass. And again, this is going to be this green all through the winter. Now, in early spring, you may notice that the winter has kind of beaten up the leaves a little bit. Well, very early in the spring, all you need to do is give it a quick little haircut. The new leaves will come up and it'll be as good as new. Here's one that portrays mostly a chartreuse foliage color. And what it has is it has a little green and yellow stripes along its leaves. Very, very lovely. In front of that, and probably the most interesting one because it's so small, is this little dwarf yellow one. And look at this, it's only going to get about 4 to 6 inches high and probably when it matures, maybe about a foot wide. Now, as it matures, your plants, you may notice that the center of it will kind of turn a little bit brown. That's telling you it's time to divide the plant. And it's really easy to divide. All you have to do is get a sharp spade and cut it in 4 or 6 or however many sections you want, dig it up, and plant those new sections apart and throw out the part that died. Right up in here is another one of those green and yellow ones that we have. And then probably my favorite of all of them is this form that has a slight white variegation on the leaves. And if you look at this plant at a distance, it kind of gives the whole plant almost a silver cast and will really light up that shady spot in the garden. Well, as a matter of fact, all of these will light up a shady spot in the garden, whether it's a yellow one or a dwarf yellow one or this one that has the white leaf margins. Now, the other interesting thing is that these plants are at home, as you see, right in this ditch, and they'll live at the edge of a water garden. They'll live in a bog, and you can plant them between the cracks of your patio paving stones. They'll be just as happy anywhere you want to plant them. So again, this is Oasis gramineus, the sweet flag, and it is native to North America.
Thanks, Fred. Chuck is with Jane Ross, a landscape architect, and they want to show us a beautiful patio area with a very unique water feature.
I'm here with Jane Ross, the landscape architect with Ross Kelly Landscape Architectural Firm, and we installed this water feature that's behind us last year for them. And Jane, when you do and design a water feature like this, what do you look for in a smaller garden element such as this?
Mm-hmm. Well, on a project like this, we often work with the client in addressing what their needs are and what their goals and wants are, as well as what the architecture of the home is like. We want to complement that as well as the client's wishes. And I think this project is a good example of coming together and achieving all those goals. This is a mission arts and crafts style house. This courtyard that we're sitting in has windows all the way around an L shape. So it's viewed from all sides of the house. That includes the kitchen, the foyer, the living room space, as well as the owner's office looking out on this space on the lower level and their bedroom on the upper level. So we needed a courtyard that looked visually inviting, as well as having a focal point, which we love to use fountains as a focal point. And this particular fountain is a simple pool, rectangle pool, that reflects the rectangle shapes of the house itself, with a limestone carved spout that spills water into the pool itself. And that is on axis with the windows, the central windows of this facade that we're facing, that looks on into the kitchen and the living room. So it makes a strong focal element. As well, it provides a lot of noise, water flowing, so that it's enjoyable to hear as well as see. It's not too overwhelming either, you know, if you're sitting out here and talking just like we are right now. Right. It's not too loud that it obscures the sound or conversation, but it's just the right noise to complement any activity that's happening out here.
Not overpowering the speech as we're talking, which in normal tones it doesn't overpower it. One of the real interesting facets I think that we did to this pond, and I haven't had the fortunate to come back at night and look at it, but we installed some underwater lighting, which we put directly under the spouts. So as the water spills over, it creates that little bit of turbulence and water movement. What are your feelings, or how do you like to utilize night lighting in a scenario such as this?
Well, Chuck, we approach lighting in a minimalist way. We don't want too much lighting to produce glare, and we choose to use indirect lighting, like uplighting trees or walls. And in this situation with the waterfall, the water feature, we've placed lights underneath the limestone piece that shoots up and makes that a focal point in the evening, as well as helps the pool shimmer it with a glow. You also see reflections of the water dancing on the wall, which is really nice too. Very soothing thing to experience from all these windows inside.
I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was a little something different the way that we came in, you know, built the pool, and then the masons came in and laid their stone all on top of it. It just blends so well. You know, like you said, you almost can walk right into the pool itself. It just blends in perfectly, and I thought the stone and the trough effect is really a unique and a really one-of-a-kind characteristic that I think a lot of people like to see when there's some water features are involved.
Yeah, I think the carved limestone is a unique feature, and I'm real pleased with how it turned out.
Well, it was really a great project, and we certainly enjoyed working with you, and I hope we'll do much more again.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
We hope you enjoyed our show today. Check out our website for other great water gardening information. I'm Amelia Hurd for Backyard Oasis, where it's all about water.
Oh, cool, clear water. Water running down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, water. You know there's some down there in Mobile. Water, baby, come on, give me a sip.